Good day, my distinguished gentlemen and women, possibly, perhaps. This video is for anyone that wants to put on muscle while also still maintaining somewhat of an aesthetic physique, just because I know that a lot of people use building muscle as an excuse to dirty bulk and just eat whatever the fuck they want, which in the long run is not only going to make you feel like shit, it's going to make you look like shit as well. And while you might feel like you're a little bit stronger because you are gaining weight, it's not good for you in the long run. And I think you know that, but you just do it anyway. Before I go on a rant, I'm gonna go on a rant. I'm gonna put some pictures up on the screen right now. When I was 16, 17, 18, 19, when I was younger, I was quite the degenerate. I was a virgin, as you can imagine. I was a gamer, I was lazy, I was overweight, and all those things put together equaled into me, becoming quite unhealthy. And I was in denial for a long time. I would just sit at my desk and I'd play games. I think I must have over 5,000, 6,000 hours just in one game. Counter-Strike. Anyone want to play? Hit me up. But yeah, eventually I saw what I had become. I saw what I was destined to be if I stayed on the same path, and I decided that enough was enough, and I made a change. In that pursuit, in that endeavor, I also developed an extremely unhealthy habit, an extremely unhealthy relationship with food. Now what I mean by that is, instead of going to the gym and eating healthier in order to lose the weight, I stayed at my desk and I just stopped eating. So I would literally have no food, and when I did have food, my dinner would be like half a bulb of lettuce. Is it bulb? Doesn't sound right, but like half of a lettuce was my dinner. And at first I was really hungry, and it was difficult, but eventually I just sort of forgot about the pain and the hunger, and it worked for me. I lost a lot of weight in a very short amount of time, ready for my boys' trip to Ayia Napa. But that just wasn't the right way to go about things, and there's quite a lot of things that I've learned over the years in my pursuit of aesthetics. The first thing that I want to say, and this might be quite controversial, but it's really not, is that sugar isn't bad for you, fat isn't bad for you, and carbs, they're not bad for you. So much content that I see nowadays is like, oh yeah, you shouldn't eat sugar, you shouldn't eat fats, no carbs. No, disregard all that bullshit. It's wrong, you're boring. You need to find the balance. When I was losing weight and when I was starting out at the gym for the first time, I was very, very focused on eating as low fat as possible, because I've always heard that high fat foods are bad for you. And of course they are. Deep fried chicken, Big Macs, your body weight in cheese, like none of these things are good for you. But just like anything, if you have it in moderation, or if you have the right amount of it, it's completely fine. And once I actually understood that and started incorporating, fattier foods into my diet, so for example, your avocados, your eggs, your slightly fattier cuts of meat, I genuinely experienced such a boost in my performance and in my physique as well, because I was no longer depleted, I was no longer lacking in nutrients. I was finding that healthy balance that worked for me, which resulted in, may I dare to say, quite an aesthetic physique. I took one of these pictures yesterday, I took some of these a few months ago. You can tell that I found what works for me, but what's important is playing around with what works for you, of course, because your metabolism and the way that you digest things is not going to be the same as it is for me. You're a snowflake. And I don't mean that in the derogatory way, although you might be. Chances are you probably are, you little fucker. But what I mean by you're a snowflake is that you're unique. God, I'm feeling so poetic today, even though that didn't rhyme, but do you know what I mean? The second point that I want to talk about is focusing on protein and whole foods. Way too many people just get obsessed with eating as much as they can, and they're like, oh, I can eat this because I'm bulking, I'm on a dirty bulk. No, stop that, please. I'm being polite, I'm asking you politely, stop that. Once I started focusing on hitting the protein goals and my overall calorie goals through the whole foods, that's your chicken breast, your chicken thigh, your turkey breast, turkey mince, your rice, potatoes, generally as unprocessed as possible. So once I stopped eating, you know, just an abundance of cheese strings and just basically trying to get as many calories in as I could, and started focusing on the quality of the calories instead, yes, my rate of weight gain slowed a little bit, but overall, being very healthy, you know, I very rarely get sick. Like, some people say that vegetables, it doesn't matter, but I mean, I used to be vegetarian until I was about 16, 17, all the way up until then. So I've quite a natural bond with vegetables. Me and vegetables were like that. So I eat a lot of veg, I eat a lot of clean sort of meat and food in general, and I almost never get sick. I always feel good. Maybe not always, but do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm gonna cut that one off there because I'm babbling a little bit now. The third and final point that I wanted to make was stop eating food that you don't like. Like, how are you gonna stay consistent if you're eating food that you're just having to force down yourself, that you're not actually enjoying? And at the end of the day, in order to see results with your physique and anything in life, consistency is key. And in order to stay consistent, you have to enjoy what you're doing. You can only force yourself into doing something for so long. Experiment. Find the food that works for you. You know, like, people think that eating healthy, eating clean, eating whole foods is boring. It's not. It really doesn't have to be. You know, you play around with spices, you play around with different ways of cooking the food. If having a salad every day, not that that's necessary, but if having a salad every day is made easier by crumbling a little bit of feta onto it, because that makes it that bit more enjoyable for you, then fucking do it. Do it. Stop cutting foods out completely and then eventually going back and circling around and gorging, because that is just not sustainable. That's why I don't like using the word diet, because, you know, diets, keto diet, all these diets, they're just not sustainable. You need to change your way of living. Basically, what I'm saying is, instead of dieting, change the way that you eat for life, and then you'll never need to diet again. I haven't been on a diet since those fucking lettuce days, and I've never been happier. I've never been happier, because when I was eating lettuce and nothing else, well, great idea, I know. But when I was doing that, I was miserable. And, you know, I felt good because I wasn't putting processed food into my body, but that's not how you should be living. Unless you identify as a rabbit, in which case, please go ahead, it's 2024, who am I to judge? I'm gonna leave it at that overall. I don't wanna make this video too long. I feel like I've been blabbering and I'm at danger of overspilling, figuratively. Love you, say it back. Peace.